Shooting along Woodward Avenue, and police say it was a son who shot and killed his mother inside a moving car, but it didn't end there. The man then got out of the car and started shooting at other cars at random. And this happened right...
And y'all gonna fix this how? Again, just run it by me again. Anybody in the chat, just tell me how you gonna fix this. They can't even cover this. If this was a glider, this would be all over the news. This is like in the queue of sudden man crimes for that day. This is probably 215. This is like literally, like this is you on the waiting list, man. And you might not get a table at this restaurant. We're experiencing a high volume of calls. Wait time may be longer than usual. Like this was nothing. This didn't even register on Thanksgiving Day. This didn't even make the news because there was another son teen who killed his mom, and that was a kind of a decent covered story. They don't have to listen. If every day there's 30 murders in the stand, 40 murders in the stand all over the country, how do you keep up with this stuff? I do my best. Make sure you hit the like button, hit the PayPal, hit the Cash App, hit the Super Chat.
Deadly shooting along Woodward Avenue, and police say it was a son who shot and killed his mother inside a moving car, but it didn't end there. The man then got out of the car and started shooting at other cars at random. And this happened right about 11 o'clock last night at Woodward and 696, right at the border of Royal Oak and Pleasant Ridge. Priya Mann shows us what happened and also spoke to neighbors who are stunned over this news.
Not only to take your own mother's life, but then to go around at random. It's shocking.
The Thanksgiving tragedy started with the gunman shooting his mother while she was driving.
Obviously, we love our kids unconditionally, and sometimes that puts you in a dangerous position.
The mother and son were on Woodward under the 696 overpass approaching Royal Oak. The gunman was sitting in the passenger seat when he opened fire, shooting his mom in the head.
That is pretty scary. Yeah, that usually doesn't happen around here.
The 50
Context clues, y'all. That usually doesn't happen around here.
That is pretty scary. Yeah, that usually doesn't happen around here.
The 52-year-old Southfield woman died at the scene.
I don't know if I could ever understand the mind of somebody that could do something like that.
The gunman shot his own mom in Pleasant Ridge, then jumped out of the car and started to head toward Royal Oak, where he kept shooting at vehicles. He had 3 more cars, hitting a 43-year-old woman in the thigh. She was rushed to the hospital, expected to make a full recovery.
You would never expect that, and I mean, wrong place, wrong time, and that's an awful situation, and she didn't deserve that.
Hopefully, she's going to be able to have full range of motion and be able to do all the things that she wanted to do before.
Police arrested a 22-year-old Troy man near the scene and recovered a 9mm handgun.
Feel really bad about that. So should we on Thanksgiving?
If anything, this is a season for taking care of people, for loving one another.
Obviously, no person wants to actually do that. They just have mental health issues or something like that.
I think that we need to think about our mental health the same way that we think.
So they're already giving him an out. Another context clue. No accountability is mental health. All these people are mental health specialists. They've diagnosed the situation. Nothing to see here. Do you understand that even if you a real clinician or somebody certified to do it, would take them weeks to make that diagnosis? They have a battery of tests, observation. They'd have to do a bunch of stuff to make. Now people just hear something happen. Hey, did you hear about the shooting over there? Oh, mental health. These dudes ain't crazy, man. They just sunny. They are not, all these dudes is not crazy, man. That's just what they do.
Now, to new information tonight, we're learning into the second arrest in the murder of a Detroit mom killed in her driveway just after she dropped her children off at school.
19-year-old Jaron Cox now faces a charge of first-degree murder in connection with the case.
This is a different case. This is a different case of a mother killed in Detroit. This is what they do.
Now, to new information tonight, we're learning into the second arrest in the murder of a Detroit mom killed in her driveway just after she dropped her children off at school.
19-year-old Jaron Cox now faces a charge of first-degree murder in connection with the case. Megan Woods live tonight with more on what the chief is saying about this. Megan?
Yeah, Chief White really wanted to stress how tragic this case is, especially for this woman's family. If you remember last week when she was killed, an 11-year-old and a 15-year-old lost their mother. And so Chief White is hoping that today's update will help those kids as well as any other family and friends that know her to have closure.
This is probably one of the more tragic cases that I've seen.
Andrea Tucker, a Detroit mother of two, was gunned down in the middle of a daily routine many parents can relate to, returning home from dropping her kids off at school.
This case really tugged at the heart of the entire department.
Her ex-boyfriend, David Hammond, has been a person of interest since the start of the investigation. He was out on bail for domestic violence, arson, felonious assault, and home invasion. Tucker...
I can't listen. It's hard. It breaks my heart for the sister, but it's hard. This guy's out on all those charges. He's out on... And it wasn't like this 2 years ago. 2 years ago, this guy's sitting in jail, man, waiting for a trial. They wanted criminal justice reform. This is what criminal justice reform looks like. Of course he committed more crime. He's a criminal.
Her ex-boyfriend, David Hammond, has been a person of interest since the start of the investigation. He was out on bail for domestic violence, arson, felonious assault, and home invasion. Tucker was set to testify in court against Hammond, but it's his son, Jaron Cox, who is charged with first-degree murder. Chief James White said investigators put in a lot of hard work to get to this point.
Not stopping when things seem to point to one direction. But continue to unpack the evidence that they had, which was just amazing police work.
Cox is also charged with felony firearm and intimidating a witness. For police, the work doesn't end here.
This is not an acceptable circumstance, obviously, and we want to make sure that we learn from what happened and what did not happen in this case so that we can provide the services needed. I think the department did everything that we possibly could. There's nothing we could have done to prevent this matter.
I'm glad the police officer washed his hands of this. I'm glad he distanced himself from this crime because they did their job. They arrested the guy. Now, if the DA, the prosecutors, the judges want to let him out, these cops can't do anything about this. This isn't Lethal Weapon 3. This isn't Beverly Hills Cops. This isn't Bad Boys. This is real life. Once these cops arrest you and take you down to the station and process you, they're back on the street. They ain't thinking about you no more unless they have to testify in court during your case, during your trial. Other than that, they ain't thinking about you no more. They're back working the streets of a very violent city, doing their job. They've put you in a cage, and now it's up to the judges and the prosecutors to keep you in that cage or let you free. I salute this cop for distancing himself from that, and I hope more cops start doing that. Once they lock somebody up, they can't do it. It's not their job. They've done their job.
This is not an acceptable circumstance, obviously, and we want to make sure that we learn from what happened and what did not happen in this case, so that we can provide the services needed. I think the department did everything that we possibly could. There's nothing we could have done to prevent this matter.
And Chief White says it's still unclear how well Cox knew his father's ex-girlfriend, and they say that even though Cox is charged, that doesn't mean David Hammond, his father, is off the hook right now. He's still being investigated. He's still a person of interest. Karen, Sandra?
Yeah, and Megan, we know this affects so many families. What about resources? What are some of the resources that Detroit police have for some of these domestic violence survivors?
Yeah, so they have social workers. They're planning to add more social workers on staff. And they also have a victims assistance hotline, and that's open 24 hours. And we'll have that information on clickondetroit.com.